Some of you may have seen recently that in this Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, the CHAZ, or now being called the CHOP, or whatever you want to call it, there was this street preacher, and he was out there, you know, telling people about the gospel and Jesus and yelling at them. And the articles came out like this. Street preacher attacked in Seattle's Autonomous Zone. Stop choking me. This doesn't look like the happy euphoria that people have been saying the CHAZ is. A street preacher entered the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle, where his free speech was stifled, physically assaulted, choked. Elijah Schaefer reports on this. Okay, so there's multiple videos on this from all different angles and a lot of stuff. And actually, the Blaze here, they actually have done a better job than any of the other places I've seen, posting a good amount of it. The Elijah Schaefer did a pretty good job. And he goes through here. I'll play you these videos in a second because I have a whole list of them. I want to go through the context here, where they're on top of him, and then how there's a guy who steps in and condemns violence. So as we look through this story, we're going to see a lot of different things, and the main one that most of you may have seen briefly mentioned on Twitter or on the news that people are posting is this clip right here.
I am a free citizen! But also the autonomous zone can choose to reject you as I am a free citizen in the autonomous zone!
Okay, so that's just the video that I've seen posted the most. You know, a guy being held down, and then the captions read, you know, how things go in the autonomous zone without police and people's rights being abused, making the point that this guy's being abused. And the clip's very short, and all we see are the two guys holding him down, the guy with yellow pants kind of stepping in and standing up for him. And we see a few different angles of that clip here and there, but for the most part, that was all I was seeing. So I wondered like the context behind it and what all has happened. It turns out a lot of stuff happened with this guy this day. So, and I don't know the timeline either. I have all these different videos, but I can't figure out exactly when certain things were happening. But let's play a couple more clips here. You're going to see the guy in yellow pants again, and this has to do with our street preacher's phone being stolen and then returned. So go ahead and watch this clip.
Yo, bro, you're gonna fucking get hurt, bro.
Yo, Matthew, you gotta get out of here. Matthew, you gotta get, bro. You gotta get everyone back, dude. Everybody.
Dude, you're stealing. You're running.
This guy's walking.
He's robbed me. I've been robbed. I've been robbed. I've been robbed because he swiped it. Man swiped my phone.
Okay, so what you saw there was the yellow pants guy wrestling away what appears to be a phone from a guy in a green hat with a couple other guys involved in the scuffle. Now, the preacher guy that we've been seeing in all these videos, Matthew, comes up, and that is actually one of his members of his crew, the guy in the green hat. Don't know his name. But what appears to have happened is the phone was taken from the guy, wrestled away from him, and this Matthew preacher guy starts saying, this guy swiped my phone, he took my phone. The guy in yellow pants says, no, you need to step away, and then walks away, and they chases him, yelling that he stole his phone. Whether or not it was the guy's phone, I don't know, but what appears to have happened in this video is he did take it away from him, and we'll see in an upcoming clip that somehow they did take the phone. So go ahead and watch that now.
Yo, bro, you are gonna get hit. I promise you that, bro. I swear you are, bro.
And you guys are false witnesses.
If you not want to be around, you devil. I'm tired of chasing behind him, pushing on him. Like, you know what I mean? I talked to him just now. He said he wants to turn it down to a little bit volume. A little bit, he wants to stay here in his spot and not wander around and harass people. And I said, okay. I agree with that, okay? Yeah. So can we all just agree with Matthew for sitting here, Matthew, right? Yeah. Here, with his speaker on.
Woo!
Where's
His voice be heard.
Where's Jack?
His voice matters.
Jack.
He has freedom of speech.
This is Matthew's phone. Everybody's gonna watch me give Matthew back his phone.
Make a hole.
This phone was not stolen.
His phone is not stolen.
So you're lying.
When the owner was asking about this guy.
No, that's fine. That's beautiful. That's fine. Everybody, let's go!
Okay, so now we see Yellow Pants Guy up on stage, and there's so many people shouting, it's hard for me to make out. My hearing is not the greatest. Maybe if one of you all can take this video and like maybe put down what he's saying, because I can't hear very well, but I did hear something to the effect of they were asking him to turn down the volume or something. Again, doesn't justify necessarily an altercation taking one of their phones, but you do see that someone he knew had Matthew's phone, and you know, he asks for it and the guy tosses it up to him, which I thought, wow, that was a pretty good catch. But yeah, they had his phone. They did take it. And you know, it makes a big scene of I'm giving back Matthew his phone right now. You can all see me giving it back. Okay, well, you stole it in the first place. You're not a hero for giving it back now, but it's what you should be doing. And you hear people going, his phone wasn't stolen. You hear people saying he has the right to free speech, all this different stuff. So again, I don't know if this Yellow Pants guy is instigating things, trying to calm things down, or what, because we see him later on trying to get people off of this guy. It's just a mixture of things going on. It's really hard to get the gist of what's happening. So let's get to some of the other scenes involving this guy, and we'll get to the one that the Blaze has, you know, featured here right in the main picture. So this one has a bunch of protesters that are definitely invading this guy's, you know, space, touching him in ways they should not be, and that is not necessary, and they really need to back off of him. But I'll let you guys watch. Here's the clip.
Get right with God. You're joking me around the back. We had this around here.
Is this a hug? Put your throat in. It's a hug, buddy. This is a hug.
This is a very forceful hug.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a love hug.
It's a rough love.
Yeah, Lord Jesus, give me strength for the back.
What does it feel like to get hugged by a homosexual? What does it feel? What does it feel? Will they kiss you on the face? Why do you speak your tongue?
Glory to the King.
I'll kiss you on the face, buddy.
Glory to the King eternal. Glory to the King. Glory to the King. Glory to the King.
Use those words.
Come on. King of kings and Lord of lords, who only has immortality, dwelling in the light which no man can approach. No man can see or has seen. To whom be glory and honor forever and ever. Amen. Lord Jesus Christ, make a way like you did to the Red Sea. The Red Sea is heartache.
Let the Red Sea part for this man.
Let the Red Sea part.
Let the Red Sea part.
Glory to the
Part
King.
the Red Sea. Part the Red Sea.
Part the Red Sea.
Part the Red Sea. Part the Red Sea.
Let's see it going nowhere, Pop.
Okay, so clearly what they did there was wrong. There's no justification for that. I don't care. You don't wrap yourself around someone, restricting their movement, and then kiss them. That would be considered sexual assault, would it not? People touching him inappropriately, wrapping around him, not letting him move. You can see people bracing on every single side so he can't shift, and the one guy wrapped around him so he can't move. Granted, is he saying things to antagonize them? Yes. Does that justify what they're doing to him? Absolutely not. And we'll continue to look at more altercations that he had here with one other group.
Are you serious?
You'll die out here, bro. You're gonna die out here.
Fuck that shit. Black Lives Matter. Worse than death.
Black Lives Matter.
You do not know that. Black Lives Matter. This thing's a lot worse than death.
I don't understand, dog. Why do you care?
Jesus
It's about
Christ.
Jesus.
We're
Talk to these people.
displeased with it.
Talk to these people. Don't do this shit.
He would be displeased.
He would be displeased as
He
fuck.
would be upset.
He would be
What you are doing,
you would
be condemned.
messing up.
Your own Lord would be ashamed of what you are doing right now.
That man's not gonna let you pass, bro. We're not gonna
Not
let
happening,
this happen.
homie.
We can't anymore, dude.
one fight.
We're done. Fuck that. Fuck that, dude. You can go home. This isn't about Jesus. If this is about Jesus, then put that shit down and talk to people.
Jesus will protect you.
If this is about Jesus, put that shit down and talk to people. If it's about Jesus,
All right, so what you saw there were two separate videos, but they're around the same time because he at that point he actually had his hat on. You see the guy in the red bandana with the long hair in both of these. So he's walking around with his sign, and I don't know if this one was actually earlier on in the day because he had the hat. I don't know if he took it off later on. That's why I said this timeline's hard to figure out. But he's walking around with his sign, and this guy goes, "Do you want to die, bro?" Asking, you know, almost threatening in a way, what you're doing is going to get you killed. You better stop, sort of thing. Got these threats. He's up in his face, being very aggressive, pushing up against him. And you see all these people, they get right in your face and push up against you, like trying to get you to hit them to start. So you start it when they're obviously starting it themselves. It's ridiculous. But, you know, he's up in their face. And then you get to the clip of it's like they're trying to rip away his speaker, his sign, all this stuff. So this man's crew, they're having their phone stolen, speaker stolen, and you'll see him clutching onto things later, whatever he's got. And these people are all over him, just attacking him. Now, no matter what he said to people out there, that doesn't give them the right to jump on him and attack him like this. Now, if there comes out with video that he started these altercations and we're not just and we don't have clips of that right now and people just aren't posting him, then yeah, we'll say that he started stuff and, you know, everybody's at fault here. But as of right now, I haven't seen anything where he started anything with regards to this. So from what I understand, the end of this series of events leads to him taking the stage, or this little stage they have set up. And I'm going to play you a couple video clips here. One catches it a little bit earlier on, one gets more close up of what exactly happened. So go ahead and check this out.
This is a capital free zone for Jesus Christ! Yes, it is! Yes, Christ rules supreme! This is Christ's zone! This is Christ's zone! This is a Christian zone for Jesus Christ!
Thank you very much. Okay, the way you deal with justice is take the picture from your holy, all the way back. All the way back.
This is a Christian zone! Jesus Christ is part of all!
Jesus Christ said, if they do not receive your message, shake the dust from your feet and continue to the next town.
Blinding their eyes!
I'm a fucking Baptist! Get off my face, please! He's getting up and leaving!
Excuse me. Excuse me.
That he's going to leave peacefully.
Excuse me. Don't touch me.
But this man is going to leave peacefully so that we can celebrate black women. So that we can celebrate black women.
Now, if you look at this one closely, unfortunately, out of what I could find so far, it starts with just when he and somebody else are entering into the altercation on the stage. I don't have any footage yet of him, you know, climbing up onto the stage. I don't know if he forced his way on there. Obviously, that is somebody's stage. They set it up. It's their property there. Whether or not they were allowed to set it up there, that's another thing, but it is their property, and he was up on it. But all we see is it starts off with a guy slamming into him. So maybe he wasn't supposed to be up on the stage, but also it started off poorly by that guy coming up and just slamming into him, grabbing him, and bringing him down to the ground in that, I don't know if it was a chokehold, but he had his arm wrapped around him, whatever it was. And you see a lot of people then swarm the stage, and we have a mix of different people here. We have some angry ones trying to like grab him and rip him off the stage. We also have some people saying, calm down, you know, let's get him off here, back off a second, let him breathe. And then he's on the ground shouting and screaming, holding his speaker like he's not going to move. The tensions are just so high everywhere. Granted, in this one, I think I would place a little bit of blame on the guy for, you know, that's not his stage. It's not where he's supposed to be. He can walk around freely and do what he wants, but he's now messing with somebody else's stuff in their area and taking over something somebody else has set up. And, you know, they're asking him to move. He won't get off. He's shouting and screaming. But also, the guy engaged him incorrectly in the first place. And you know what? Maybe this could have gone differently if there were some police officers in the area. You know, hey, we've got this guy up on stage. It's our stage. He's crazy and shouting. Can you come check it out? Yeah. Cops come in. All right, man, we need you to get down and leave, or they take him away. But no, you now have a crowd of people that have a bunch of different ideas. As we've seen his interactions throughout this whole thing, you have people either jumping on him, not letting move, stealing his stuff, saying, no, let him speak, it's fine. And a lot of these people, as you can see on the stage, you know, they finally get some of the guys to cool down and they back off, and the guy gets up and walks off the stage. And it's just a very interesting series of events of how things go in this autonomous zone without law enforcement in the area. And so many people have different ideas of how they want to handle things. From what I saw throughout this, there were a lot of, you know, perfectly rational people that can get together and handle things in somewhat peaceful ways. You know, don't need to use crazy force, but some people are still going to come in swinging and hitting and stealing stuff. We also have videos throughout this area of people stealing other people's American flags. So if you don't hold like a particular ideology and you come in saying things that a lot of people in this area don't agree with in general, there is still a good chance that there's going to be violence committed against you. Your things will be stolen. You will be surrounded and swarmed, and they do the whole, I'm not touching you, and they get right in your face. Okay. And they're pushing up against you, whatever. They're not assaulting you. Okay. They're pretty much shutting you down from doing anything. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And I see different posts from different sides trying to, you know, spin this in a certain way to either make it look like a completely lawless zone where they're beating this guy to death on the ground. And then you also see posts saying that this guy was absolutely crazy and he was assaulting people. And then they clip portions of these things where he's trying to get his stuff back and start the clip there. And then it looks like he's attacking all the other people. And I'm like, in reality, look, it's somewhere right in the middle, right? He did instigate a few of these things like on the stage, and we didn't see the clips of before other areas. Maybe he did start something. We don't know. But also, he was assaulted multiple times. His stuff was stolen from him. Like, come on, there's a little bit of issues going on with both, and we don't have anyone to handle this because you just have a bunch of people shouting over top of one another, and there's no progress being made. And that's what things are like in this autonomous zone that they have set up. But speaking of this autonomous zone, it's a great segue into how it is no longer the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. That's right. Apparently the name CHAZ was incorrectly designated to this area. So let me read to you about how they changed their name to the Capitol Hill Organized Protest. So, Seattle's gaining national attention with a growing audience. What was once known as the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone has been rebranded and renamed Capitol Hill Organized Protest. Without a leader and with more voices chiming in, some of the protesters that have been pushing for police reform and advocating for Black Lives Matter at the now abandoned East Precinct say it's a move to get the movement back on track. That name CHAZ we didn't actually come up with, said a protester. We're not sure if it were detractors or people trying to push a false narrative, but they definitely came in with that name and with the signs. They had nothing to do with the movement so far. Before CHAZ was born, it was just 1 week ago when protesters and police faced off at 11th and East Pine, with the crowd later being dispersed through the use of flashbangs and pepper spray. Seattle police say some protesters were throwing things like rocks, bottles, and incendiary devices at the officers. Now CHOP Cola says what's happening on Capitol Hill was never about seceding from the United States. He also says Facebook pages popping up under the name CHAZ had been done without protesters knowing. In the nearly week it's been around, intrigue and crowds continue to grow, many coming to see for themselves. From a co-op that's been getting larger to people now selling t-shirts, Cola and others have expressed concern that the message is getting drowned out. We're noticing a lot of tourists coming in. We're trying to keep the focus. This is not Coachella. The biggest question remains, how long will this go on? At this point, it's anyone's guess. Cola says that talks with the city haven't amounted to much. We've definitely had a communications, but as far as actual progress goes, no. The conditions of them actually being supportive, no. They're allies with the national narrative, but they're not friends to the front. So, what's going on here? We are seeing some division within this zone, right? Everybody that was supposedly of the same mindset and unified is actually, not. We see it with these people attacking one another in the zone. And we see it with, whoa, we're here because of Black Lives Matter and protesting police brutality and that sort of thing. And then these other people go, no, we're here because of, problems between the class system in America. We're creating our own autonomous zone to fully thrive and be a different part of the United States. They even put signs up for that. So you have people that have two completely different ideas of what this zone is. And which one's true? Which one's right? Who's in charge to say what the zone is? Who determines what that zone is? You're saying, whoa, they're hijacking our zone. And then they're saying, no, that's not what this zone's about. This is our zone. Who's calling the shots? Who's going to say what your zone is for and what the purpose is? It's just an area that everyone's claiming is meant for different things. And their only claim to it is because we're here and because we want it to be that way. So, like I said in the previous video, I don't know. This place just seems like it's only going to get worse off. I don't know that they're unifying. And they're doing different things with, like I said, they can't even agree on the name. They're even starting to promote segregation, and we'll take a look at that. So if you haven't been keeping up with different things going on in this CHAZ, or now CHOP, I'm going to have to say both to make both sides happy, because if you call one, the other will get mad at you. So in this CHAZ CHOP zone, they started making gardens. Now, you might notice that these gardens are a little small, and I don't know if they're intended to feed the entire population of this zone. That doesn't seem like it's going to work, but hey, they're having fun planting gardens. And you may have seen pictures of the one they were building in the, past few days popping up. But now we have a new garden, and this garden is, as the sign says, for Black and Indigenous folks and their plant allies. So now we do need separate gardens, because you need to have a Black and Indigenous garden. I don't know if they have a white garden, an Asian garden, or any other types of gardens. I don't know how many subdivisions there are, or how often you have to go, because we can't just have a garden for humans. It has to be segregated based on color. I don't know if they even knock it down to eye color, hair color, or height. Maybe weight class gardens, because maybe certain people are going to eat more. I don't know. But they're segregating the gardens. And we see this idea of segregation in a list of their demands they came out with. They were talking about, segregation in hospitals and things like that. Very interesting with this whole idea of people supposedly supposed to be unifying over things and coming together, stand with each other. We got to stand with each other to fight against whatever it may be. But then there's another narrative going on where we're supposed to segregate things. So I don't know if it's two different groups saying two different things, claiming to be part of the same movement, or if it's the same people contradicting themselves. It could be any of it. I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff we're seeing. And we also have things like this. Okay, so we have another instance here where there's this guy in a park, and I'll play you the video here in just a second. But essentially, he makes the claim that all white people in the zone in the CHAZ zone, that everyone who's white needs to pay at least one person of color $10, whether that be Venmo, Cash App, or whatever form of payment you want, but you need to give $10. And listen closely, because I want you to hear his reason for why he says to give the $10. It's very interesting. All right, check it out.
Okay. I want you to find by the time you leave this autonomous zone, I want you to give $10 to one African American person from this autonomous zone. And if you find that's difficult, if you find it's hard for you to give $10 to people of color, to black people especially, you have to think really critically about, in the future, are you going to actually give up power and land and capital when you have it? If you have a hard time giving up $10, you got to think about, are you really down with this struggle? Are you really down with the movement? Because if that is a challenge for you, then I'm unsure if you're in the right place. So find an African American person. The white people, I see you. I see every single one of you. And I remember your faces. You find that African American person and you give them $10. Cash App, Venmo, $10 in your pocket. That's my challenge to you. Do it.
Did you hear that? He said, think about how hard it's going to be to give up power, capital, and land if you can't give up $10 now. So what he's saying is that here's what's going on in the future. He's talking about the future. He's saying that in the future, we're going to get to a point where it's your stuff that you have, you are going to be expected to give it to other people, regardless of if someone earned it or you came up with a fair trade and someone did something, someone did work for you and you paid them, whatever it may be. He says, give it, not earn it. He says he's expecting you in the future to give more than $10. This is a stepping stone on the road to giving people of a different skin color stuff just because they have a different skin color. So that's a very interesting concept he's going for there, but that gives you an idea of the headspace that some of the people in here are in that down the road in the future, anyone who is of a certain color is going to have to give up stuff that they have earned to people who are not the same color. Very interesting. But that will conclude all of today's updates on the autonomous zone. We are now seeing it, become a little bit more destabilized with, people getting a little violent within the zone. There were claims before that it was completely peaceful. Obviously, there's a little bit of tension between people coming in with different ideas. Like I said, look up some of the clips of other people's, flags being stolen and stuff like that. It's not just the preacher guy who was attacked. There are other people. We see people disagreeing on the whole reason they're there, fighting amongst themselves. We're seeing this segregation thing pop up with things like their demands and the farms. And then we even see stuff like this saying you got to pay people money if they look different than you and whatnot. So yeah, it's becoming a little more crazy. Will it break out into a, full-scale violent place, or will people just end up leaving and going home? I don't know. We'll continue to keep you updated. But if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you want to continue to get notifications. We're going to follow this thing till it closes here. And if you want to inform more people about it, or you see people getting stuff wrong, or you have stuff that you want to add to, just make sure you share the video and let people know. And leave in the comments if you can, because like I said, my hearing is terrible. Leave in the comments if there's stuff you hear people say in there and reference the part of the video, so we can get maybe more clarity of what's actually happening in some of these spots. But that'll pretty much do it for this segment. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good one.